Well, our main speaker today, Carol Burnett, is, of course, a household name. She is a performer who makes virtually everyone who sees her feel as if they have been especially touched by a very special human being. Today, however, Carol's claim to fame has nothing to do with any of that. It is that she happens to be the mother of Erin Hamilton, who's graduating today. I want to say that over the past 2 years, I have certainly enjoyed my interactions with Carol, have found her to be a very warm, very open, gracious, generous, and you won't be surprised to hear a very much a down-to-earth person. Carol, we're just delighted you could be with us this morning. Thank you.
Brad, have you ever thought in terms of an older woman? I like my earlobes. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I don't like graduation speeches. I always hated listening to them when I was in high school, and it's not any easier giving them, believe me. Excuse me, today I've got a little bit of a but I'll be fine. For one thing, so much has changed since I graduated from high school. I mean, you guys, you learned with computers, and I think I learned with a piece of charcoal and a block of wood. And there's clothes, and then the speech, relationships. We used to call it going steady. Quaint. Everything has changed, I think, except probably most graduation speeches when the person gets out. And they usually, at least I remember hearing them go like, today you stand on the threshold of tomorrow, armed with an arsenal of knowledge. Here's your diploma. You are now a fully responsible adult. We are the world, but you are the future, so don't mess it up. Well, I'm not going to say that. For one thing, I don't feel that you're supposed to know everything. In fact, I would like to offer one last course for you right now here at Cambridge, and it's mine, and I call it an introductory course to ignorance. I'm here to preach ignorance in certain circumstances. Why? Because knowledge is good, but wisdom is better. And sometimes knowledge, too much of it, in a certain way, can get in the way. Ignorance, the ignorance I'm talking about, is not stupidity. It's just the lack of knowledge or experience, and sometimes I don't think that's a bad thing. When I finished high school, we were all led to believe that we had to have a goal, and we had to stick to it. Mine was journalism. I was going to be a writer. That's what I wanted to be. I'd been editor of my junior high and high school newspapers, and I wanted to be a writer. That's what my mother told me I wanted to be, and that's what my teachers told me I wanted to be. So I wound up on the UCLA campus, and I started gravitating towards the theater arts department. And I had a fight with myself. I said, the goal-oriented me said, just where do you think you're going? And the dreamer me said, I'm going to be an actress. Are you nuts? You? That's not what's planned. That's not what we planned at all. I'm changing our plans. You can't do that. Look at the odds. Everybody wants to be in show business. Just look at the odds. Look at the rejection. look at your face. You're crazy, you can't do it. And it was as if she, the other me, I put a curse on myself, and it takes two to make a curse. The person, the one who gives it, and the one who accepts it. So if somebody tells you you can't do something and you believe it, well then it comes true. If you don't accept that, if you don't accept the other person's judgment, what he or she says just doesn't count in the curse, okay? So, excuse me. I didn't know how impossible the odds were. I didn't know I couldn't do it. So I did it. That's what I mean about certain kinds of ignorance coming in handy. After 2 years, I dropped out of UCLA and I went to New York. And I headed there because I knew that's where I would go with my face to get into show business. Now, I knew I had to get an agent in order to get into a show. So I went and I saw all kinds of different agents, and they all said the same thing. They said, well, gee, kid, let me know when you're in a show, and I'll come see you. You go to audition for a show, and they said, well, sorry, you can't audition unless an agent has sent you. So no agent, no show, no show, no agent. It was crazy. So I lived at a place called the Rehearsal Club in New York for young women interested in the theater. I went home, and I said, hey, kids, let's put on a show. Well, the older ones, you know, who were more jaded and smoked cigarettes and things, they laughed and they said, don't be silly, that can't be done. So a few of them got up and left the room. Those of us who didn't know it couldn't be done put on a show. And all the agents came. And they came and they saw us, and a few of us got signed, and a few of us got jobs. So once again, it was the fact that I didn't know so much that the ignorance again came in handy, okay? Then I got a little bit smarter, unfortunately, and I got a job. I mean, I was happy to get the job, and I was working in a cabaret called the Blue Angel with a lot of other newcomers. And I was about third or fourth on the bill, and I was doing quite well, not a lot of money, but good experience. And I was asked to be on The Tonight Show, and to sing a comedy song that I had opened my act with. And I went on, and the house fell down. The audience just came apart. It went great. So I went back to the club, and then I was asked to be on The Tonight Show again the following Thursday. That was a Tuesday, following Thursday I was at. Then Ed Sullivan, I'm sure you've all heard of him, asked me to be on his show that Sunday, singing that same number. Well, 3 times in 1 week, I was on television. All of a sudden, I'm a hit. And people are lining up around the Blue Angel now to come in to see me, the girl that was on sang that song on television. I was thrilled, absolutely thrilled at first, and I just thought, this is just great. Then I started to come to expect it. I thought, whoa, this is good. They're coming in, so I'm right. I'm got stuck. So about the 4th week into this, I remember walking on stage one night to a packed house, and I knew they were there to see me, you know, and I'm up there, and I had a 20-minute routine to do. I opened my mouth, and usually right after the first line, everybody laughed and got hysterical. Not this evening. Bomb. I was a total bomb. Not one laugh, nothing. I thought, they don't speak English. They're all drunk, but they weren't. If they'd been talking and not paying attention, it would have been better. But they were, and they were listening to me. Not one laugh. I had been too cocky, too sure of myself. It was, I knew it all, okay? I hardly got off the stage and up, and I had another show to do at midnight. I was a wreck. And I thought, oh my God, I've lost it. Whatever it was that I had, I've lost it. Oh dear God, I have to go back on and do a second show. What am I going to do? And I was crying, and I was running down the hall towards my dressing room. And the men's room was on this side, and a drunk man who had been downstairs in the audience watching this with everybody else, was coming up on his way to the men's room. He was kind of bouncing against the walls. And I didn't want him to see me because I knew he'd just seen me downstairs, and I remember getting up against the wall like this, and I was crying, and I remember the tears dropping on my satin shoes and making big splashes, and I held my head down, and he was right opposite me, and the men's room door was right there, and he said, hey, aren't you that little lady I just saw downstairs on stage just now? Aren't you that? And he picked my chin up. And I noticed he had a nice smile, and he was rather sweet, and I started to feel a little bit, I said, yes. He said, oh, that was you, wasn't it? And I said, yes. He said, well, you stink. And he disappeared into the men's room, and I went back to the dressing room, and I dragged myself on for the second show that night, and I realized I had failed, but the second show went a little bit better, and the problem, of course, was that I had been too sure of myself, and I had pushed the audience's off button, and it was the best thing that ever could have happened to me, because in having to go right back on and do that same routine at midnight, I learned that I could survive making a mistake. I learned even more that night. I learned that not only could I survive a failure, but that I was not that failure. We make mistakes, but we are not our mistakes. We fail, but we are not our failures. And when I asked Erin, my daughter, what sort of thoughts I could share today, she said, Mom, give us some hope. Well, there's always hope, as long as you don't give up. And so what if you hit a dead end? So what if somebody says you stink? Yeah, okay. You don't have to buy that. That's past. You're what you think you are. That's hope. It's hard to have hope today when all the facts and figures out there are pushing you towards getting a goal and making major life decisions immediately. You say, choose a goal, pick it, stick to it. You're 18 now, it's time to be a responsible adult, 17, 18, however old, 19. Well, they always say this, who are they? I don't know, but I guarantee you they're not 18. Do you know what your responsibility is right now? It's to be 18 and to continue. Just keep right on learning. I have a friend who is a very highly respected doctor. He's successful. Before that, he was a highly respected and successful lawyer. Now he's taking up writing. He's in the middle of his first novel, and he's in his 70s, and he's still learning. And that's hope. I don't think you have to settle on a goal right away. If you have one, fine. If you don't, fine. Maybe your goal is to find one right now. But remember that they're your goals and your dreams, and they belong to you, and you can change them whenever you want to. And that's hope. And when you walk out of here today, there are no guarantees except that you probably will change your mind 1,000 times. And I'm not telling you not to be scared of that, because you will, and that's okay. I was scared about giving this talk today because I was afraid that I would just be another adult trying to relate. I almost said no because of all the things that we don't have in common, instead of thinking about the things that we do. And what we all do have in common are our feelings. Would you believe me if I told you what I know what you're feeling right now? Would a 9th grader starting at Cambridge believe you if you said to that 9th grader, I know just how you feel right now? Just as you can look back today at the underclassmen and see what's ahead for them, we parents can look back and see what's ahead for you. We don't know the specifics, but we know how it feels. I just finished writing a book about growing up, and it's an open letter to my 3 daughters, and it includes feelings about my folks and being a daughter. I used to think that my family, my folks, knew everything in the whole wide world and just kept it from me out of meanness. And then I reached the age where they got very stupid. And now I see that they really weren't either one. They were people, they were human beings, adults, each one was a kid in an old person's body. And that's what we are. They'd never been parents before, but they were doing the best they could. I'd never been a daughter before, and I was doing the best I could. So, in 20 years, there'll be another graduating class sitting here. Who knows, some may be your own kids. And chances are they will have accumulated knowledge that wasn't even available to us now. But they'll still be worried about what to wear. Graduation day, grad night. They'll still be in love. They'll still be searching for goals. And they still will think you don't understand them at all. But you will. Pain is still pain. Embarrassment is still embarrassment. Confusion and uncertainty don't change with the generations. But neither does hope, as long as you're doing the best you can. And that's all you can ever do. No one will expect more, and you'll never be satisfied with less. And I want to thank you today, because in looking at all your beautiful faces and the way you've dressed and made your statements today, you've given me hope. Congratulations.